What's 100% a scam, but we accepted it in our society? On sanitary pads. It's a consumable product needing assembly. They're overpriced for sure, but something has to pay the workers to work, no. Otherwise, they won't. Wouldn't that fall more into a communal goods sharing category, like food stamps? Being it's a good not related to improving day-to-day life physically, it's like saying toilet paper should be covered by insurance. Not that society can't feasibly provide everyone with common needs. I do feel though that it's not quite the same as not affording, say, insulin. We need to start with state absorption of industries and mass jailings of political criminals in the US if we want anything to become logical though. Put the scientists and doctors in charge instead of people who study manipulation as if political science was anything more. Just paid $300 for my contacts, and that's after insurance covered some too. It's absolutely insane, and I even remember them telling me in the past that your eyes change every 2 years, so you should get an eye exam every 2 years, and now, they tell me I have to do it every year. Eye disease is covered by medical insurance. Routine vision care and materials are covered by vision insurance. So my eyes being impaired isn't a medical problem? When I eventually get macular degeneration like most of my family, I will be super happy it's covered by medical. In the meantime, my eyes still don't work properly. It's like a heart murmur. Sure, your heart basically works. Sucks that it doesn't work properly. Here, pay extra for heart insurance because your heart isn't part of your body and is only slightly defective. Thanks for pointing out that you have to buy extra insurance for eye care, which, in case you missed it, was the point of Op's original post. My aunt spent a week in intensive care before she died. It was inevitable. There was nothing to be done except keep her as comfortable as possible. Her room alone was $10,000 a day. Forget the ventilator, medicine, and all those doohickeys. My father spent 9 days in intensive care in Italy before he died. It was inevitable. There was nothing to be done except keep him as comfortable as possible. His entire bill was under $3,000, including CAT scans, MRI, medications, and specialists. And in Italy, they apologized that it was so expensive, as he was not a resident and we had to pay. The level of care was not equal. The United States had better and more sophisticated equipment, private rooms, and more staff. But honestly, there wasn't a test or machine in the world that was going to save either one. I'm kinda glad they are not part of our broken health insurance system. When I have needed dental work or glasses, and I didn't have any insurance, I was still able to afford it. However, without medical insurance you will probably be billed a few $1,000s, if you even break wind near a hospital. But if our health insurance system wasn't a complete scam, then eye care and dental should be a part of it. If dentists do not want to be part of the grand scheme of medical payment, then maybe we shouldn't call them doctors anymore. It's more like the insurance companies doesn't want dental to be part of it. The insurance companies are making tons of money collecting premium, raising them yearly, yet limiting the amount pay out to dentists or never raise the yearly maximum. Dentists in general cannot deal with medical coding. It's way more complex and will require more overhead like staff for billing, paperwork. Guess who will end up paying for them? That's why you don't see much small doctors' offices anymore. They all employed by big hospitals. They have a whole billing department. Also, hospital administrators need to get paid too. Dental care cost will skyrocket if it goes way of medical insurance. I'm not defending the cost of dentistry, but I kind of get it. Dental care is 90% preventative. It's mostly on what the patient does between seeing the dentist, and frankly most cavities and small issue are preventable. Of course emergencies happen, which is the purpose of insurance, but the way it's set up, it feels more like paying the mob for protection. They cover 6-month cleanings and whatnot, which only cost like $100 anyways, and most dentists offer a slight discount for cash or out of pocket. If insurance was a good deal for the customer, they wouldn't be in business. The whole model of insurance for things you regularly use is a complete non sequitur. Insurance is meant to be for emergencies that would result in catastrophic loss, and unable to be paid for out of pocket under normal circumstances. It's absurd to require medical insurance that's used monthly. Congress has let lobbyists completely faft American citizens in the As an academic scientist, pick one of these two. We use taxpayer money to fund biomedical research, which we then write up into a research study and pay the journal so that they can publish the said study, only for the journals to turn around and put them behind a paywall. We also use taxpayer money to fund years of biomedical research, which occasionally results in a groundbreaking drug treatment, which then gets licensed out by a pharma company, which then marks up the price and turns around and charges the taxpayer an absurd amount of money to use the said drug. Additional salt to the wound. Do you guys know Moderna, which made the Myrna COVID vaccine? And the NIH, the federal institute that performed initial preclinical research on the Myrna vaccine, and also literally funded the research, are in a patent dispute over the vaccine? Lots of research done with grant money, which is funded by taxpayers, and then private companies get exclusivity to the research to take it to market. If you wanted access to that free research for your company, too bad. It's even leveled up. Special club varieties of fruits and veggies. Licensing of varieties from private companies who got it researched or bred from public universities with grant money. Maybe the failures are bad meds, or they are trying to sneak another company's patented drug onto the market by changing one inconsequential ingredient. Please, if you are going to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, save it. If there is one thing in ultra-competitive capitalism that never changes, it's the scams. There are so many scams that make the rounds in every industry, pharmaceuticals included. Here is another scam that wasn't mentioned. When a pharmaceutical company releases a drug for the first time, it costs an arm and a leg to buy if you are uninsured. You pay so much for health insurance because they have to pick up the tab for new, expensive drugs. Other countries have a pricing index, and these same companies aren't allowed to charge what they charge us, the sucker Americans. So, they often sell the drugs to people in Canada or Mexico for pennies on the dollar. I've heard of prescriptions that sell to USA residents for $40 a dose, being sold in Central America for 75 cents. That's an insult. Some Americans figured this scam out and started buying from Canada and Mexico, etc. Naturally, the pharmaceuticals tried to get Congress to shut down our abilities to engage in the free market, while they benefit off every angle of the same free market. Then you have pharmaceuticals trying to patent gene sequences, which is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. It would be like filing a patent on yet to be discovered precious gems or metals, because they might be able to do something with them once they are discovered. Monetizing health and charging a premium to allow someone to keep living should be outlawed, and the perpetrators subjected to lifelong shaming. Physical modifications, like branding the forehead and cutting off their hands, and their profits put back into the taxes. But hey, that's just my thought. Did you know that pharma is now trying to create life subscriptions for patients with chronic issues that require pharmaceutical intervention? Imagine having to pay a monthly fee for diabetic care, doctor's visits, insulin, etc. And if you miss a payment, you no longer get treatment and you die. These companies need to be shuttered, emptied out, and burned to the ground. It is also true that consumers have no idea the costs and effort involved taking a drug from when it leaves an academic lab and getting to a pharmacy shelf. The cost privately is orders of magnitude larger than whatever grants went into getting it to the point a pharma wants to license it at. Don't get me wrong, it's a broken system, but don't overstate the burden of the academic compared to the resources it takes to commercialize the most regulated products in the world. Instead, you should focus on is why academics who do the work are nearly cut out entirely of the deals the tech transfer office of the institutes or universities do with pharma. I have a tier 4 drug that my copay is $250, while my insurance pays the rest of it, which is $150. They say I need to get the generic version for a lower copay. There is no generic. It doesn't exist. I can't switch no matter what because there is nothing to switch to. Mine used to be tier 3, and I had a manufacturer coupon. I was paying $30 for months. Then one day, I walk in and pick it up as normal, and the pharmacist, who knew me by name, small town, said, "Oh my God, it's $400, and just apologized and apologized, telling me to call my insurance for a prior authorization, as I tried not to cry spending nearly every dollar left on my debit card. It took 2 weeks for them to approve it. It's Vyvanse that treats binge eating disorder, severe ADHD, and narcolepsy. I have all three, but my doctor had to change my bulimia nervosa diagnosis to binge eating disorder to help with approval. Told me to try a combination of Wellbutrin, Concerta, Zoloft, and Adderall. Adderall 3 times a day, mind you, so 90 Adderall pills a month before I could get it Vyvanse approved. They didn't believe I had binge eating disorder at 6 pounds away from underweight, even though I was 12 pounds underweight from being bulimic, and gained from starting Vyvanse since I wasn't constantly binging and subsequently throwing it up. Accused me of abusing it to stay thin, despite gaining 18 pounds and getting to healthy weight after starting it. My doctor thankfully drilled into them how dangerous and insane it was to have a 100-pound girl take 4 methamphetamine stimulants per day, and why on earth I would need 2 antidepressants when I had never been diagnosed with depression. I used the coupon to pay $190, and I will have to until there is a generic. T's so miserable. I was on academic probation at my university before I started it, and now I'm on the dean's list. I'm a new person. I have hobbies now. I can make a long drive without falling asleep at the wheel. No more pulling off to the side of the road to nap. No more sleeping through classes. I can study and retain the information and get A's on the exams. I don't freak out and cry at the smallest things anymore. I don't get overstimulated to the point of screaming at whoever's near me. I don't binge, and I just finish my 1 plate and move on. My mom even told the insurance representative that I'm not allowed in the house and will be kicked out if I can't take it. That actually helped a lot with the approval law. It's not fair to be treated like an addict by people who've never met me. It's so frustrating. The journal thing is definitely ridiculous nowadays with how easy it is to publish something online. The only real purpose they serve, nowadays, is a mark of quality. Not just anyone can publish in Nature, and if a paper is in Nature, you have certain assurances about its quality level. Still, it feels like only a matter of time before there's some community solution that can replace this, a sort of Reddit for papers or something, but until it does, people need to cater to the old system in order to get hired in academia, because hiring committees are often not as specialized as the candidates in order to be able to judge their work quality directly. Journal names are used as a proxy. For the drug thing, though, it's kind of an unavoidable consequence of the cost of drug development. Sure, the initial exploratory research is public funded, but to take a licensed target discovered in academia and turn that into an FDA-approved drug is going to cost $100 of millions in translational development and clinical trials, which the government doesn't fund, and most drugs don't make it. So private equity ends up funding most of the total cost of drug development, and the only way for this to happen is for the investments to turn a profit. Maybe we could do away with this if we had publicly funded drug development? My Enbridge gas bill has a service fee, customer fee, convenience fee, paper bill fee, storage fee, delivery charge, other random hidden fees, and then the actual gas. I could shut my gas off, not use any at all, and my bill would still be at least $52 per month. It's absolute bull, but because Canada is run by monopolies and oligarchs, we have no choice. It's that or freeze to death. But honestly, I'm ready to riot. If I saw literal mob going down my street with signs protesting this, I would 100% without a second thought grab my pitchfork from my shed and join. This should have changed decades ago. I can say a bit about this because I own a small water utility. Only a very small portion of my customers want to pay using an online option. Most pay cash order. I'm not big enough to have my own payment processing portal. I have to use a merchant account with another company. They charge my utility 2% of the charge as their fee. Now, I have 2 choices. The company pays the fee as an operating expense, which means essentially that all the customers pay for that fee as it becomes part of the water rate. Only the small minority of customers pay the fee as a surcharge to their bill. I chose option 2 because it's fundamentally unfair for all of the customers to have their rates go up, even if it's just a small portion of their overall rate for the actions of a few. If the option starts becoming more popular, then it'll likely make more sense eventually to go to option 1. But not until it's a majority of my customers that choose to pay online. To be clear, my company makes $0 from the surcharge. I just pass along the 2% fee to that customer when they pay their bill so that their neighbors aren't paying the fee for them. I charge admin fees for having to get my card out and give details over the phone. Well worth trying it for yourself. I didn't believe it would work until I did it when canceling a car insurance policy. They told me it was £50 cancellation fee. I charge admin fees for having to get my card out and give details over the phone. Well worth trying it for yourself. I didn't believe it would work until I did it when canceling a car insurance policy. They told me it was £50 cancellation fee. Anytime I have to call or send a letter, I charge a flat rate of £25 plus time. It is your time as well, so you can charge whatever the hell you want for it. Subscription services for facking everything. It does annoy me. I think Adobe was one of the first to do it. I originally would have paid about £400 for all the software as a student anyway. That's already a lot, but I owned it all. Now, basically paying £600 a year for it. Sure, it might get all the latest updates and features, which are now getting better and better, but it's still a lot. I cancel, I lose everything or have to find an ancient copy of the software. Unfortunately, the fact they can just rake in money now monthly means it's not changing back. The only things this is good for is places that do monthly subscriptions paying as you go each month. I download as much music, video clips, templates etc. as I can and make the most of that month of downloads, then I don't need anything else from them for ages, if ever. I just moved from a full legal state to a medical marijuana state, and they want me to pay $160,200 every 7 months for a license to smoke weed. Oh, and once I get the license, weed will cost 7x more than recreational, or 10x plus more than street. It's expensive as FAF's subscription service to maintain a med card, and it's definitely a scam. BC everyone and their damn dog qualifies. They took away my right to freely grow and purchase weed, only to sell back just the right to purchase, for $30 a month. Bonus. Now there's networks of taxmen and doctors who are wasting their potential usefulness as unasked for, worthless, scammy facking middlemen, who will campaign against recreational weed. BC goes against their corporate interests. An absolute waste of a college degree, every single participant. It's such a faffed up system, and we have trafficking pedophile Matt Gaetz to thank for its resilience in Florida. You won't own anything, and you'll like it. Plenty of goods as a service are fine, especially consumable things where you can essentially save money by having them. I have a Cineworld card here in the UK that allows me to see unlimited films for like 16 months. Only need to see 2 films a month to be in the black, and I usually go at least once a week. There's never been a month where I've seen less than 3, other than when they were closed during the pandemic. There's a coffee subscription for 25 months where you can get 5 coffees a day. These coffees would normally cost about $3-4 each, and I'd normally get one each time I'm in town anyway, which is about 3 to 4 times a week. I was charged a monthly subscription for a doctor's online portal, $35 a month. I had canceled the appointment, so never actually used any of their services. Luckily, I noticed I was being charged and called to cancel, and they refunded me, no problem. But it's insane that they were charging money every month for patients to use a service that makes it easier for everyone, including the office and probably especially the office. It was a psychiatric office. I dealt with another office who also had a portal and an app that did not charge. The office that charged seemed to be part of a healthcare chain. I didn't even use the portal that charged, but I imagine they offered the same services as the other office. Book appointments online, ask the doctor questions, pay for appointments, etc. I'm sure lots of people are asking tons of questions all the time, but at least an online portal allows the office to filter through things at their leisure instead of tying up the phone lines, which is more of a convenience for them and not the patients. Therefore, the patients should not be having to pay for that service. That annoys me as well, especially with streaming services. They are supposed to be cheaper than cable, but if you want everything you get so many streaming services that you end up paying just as much at least. Heck, on some streaming services such as Hulu, you still get ads on the more expensive paid version, the one with the live TV. It is bull. Then there are a bunch of other apps that are subscriptions that I fail to understand why I need pay them monthly for it. Sometimes I would actually buy a product if it wasn't a subscription. They just lose me as a customer from being a subscription instead. Spotify normalized the subscription model in music. Netflix normalized it for movies. MMOs normalized it for video games. And Adobe probably didn't normalize it for software, but is just the most prolific example. Companies wouldn't have followed this bandwagon if it weren't so successful. And the reason it's successful is because individuals like the idea of $8 to listen to the 100 songs they like more than the idea of $1 per song, adding up to $100. People such at thinking long term and don't realize that after a year, they will have spent almost $100, will probably have listened to the same 20-30 songs exclusively, and don't get to keep the song file if they stop paying. I don't blame companies. I blame consumers. I hate this. I was living in Phoenix one summer and the capacitor on the AC unit died. Called the rental agency 5+ times until we got an answer. Then they had to call the owner, and the owner was supposed to hire a contractor. Meanwhile, it's 120 fucking degrees, with a low of 95 at night, and I'm pissed. Contractors can't make it for a week or two, parts aren't available, and HVAC suppliers won't help you W or O license. So, drenched in sweat at 2 a.m., I just ordered the capacitor online with same-day shipping for $20 genuine. New. Perfectly in spec. The suppliers in town wanted $200. The whole repair was less than 5 minutes. Just used some caution, common sense, a couple YouTube vids, and a screwdriver. I had a furnace where ice built up on the coils and crashed down on the main blower. I fault change your damn filters. Goodman sent me a new blower, and I was surprised how easy it was to DIY the repair. A furnace repair guy would have charged hundreds. I had a furnace where ice built up on the coils and crashed down on the main blower. I fault change your damn filters. Goodman sent me a new blower, and I was surprised how easy it was to DIY the repair. A furnace repair guy would have charged hundreds. After my blower experience and the fact that I'm comfortable replacing board, I asked him to sell me one. He said he couldn't. Fine, then go ahead and install it on my behalf. It was well below zero, and I couldn't wait till morning to go to a parts company. The board was about $250. I figured it would take no more than 10 minutes to swap the board if I did it. The tech guy took about 20 mins. So $99 for the emergency call, $250 for the part, 10 minutes of diagnostics. I figured my bill would be around $500, nope, $980. I estimate that I was charged at least $500 for about 20 minutes of labor, and I was glaring at him the whole time he did the motherboard swap knowing the price in advance. He literally left 40 minutes after showing up having a $980 paid invoice.